Greetings, friends. Cryptodamus back here on the Cryptodamus Astrology channel. Going to drop a little forecast for the month of May. There's a lot to look at. We've come through some really intense crisis months, especially with March. We had the Venus and Mercury retrograde. We had two eclipses, and we had Neptune's Aries ingress, the 165-year zodiac cycle for Neptune. And we saw world-changing events, especially with Donald Trump's tariff rollouts and many of his policies shaking up the world domestically and shaking up the global trade system, really. So now we saw that markets kind of made a recovery in April. And I think that that overall could continue through May. I think the crisis feeling is sort of going to settle down for a bit here. We're going to talk about a couple of key events. We've got a big Fed meeting coming on May 7th. It's a Federal Open Market Committee meeting where they're going to talk about setting the interest rate policy. I don't think they're going to change interest rate policy because the Fed is after, they've been fighting inflation for 3 or 4 years. They finally got it down to sort of in the ballpark range, and I don't think they're going to give up on that. So I don't see the Fed cutting rates at this meeting. But given Trump's new policies, given that Trump has personally threatened to fire Fed Chairman Jay Powell, it's just going to be interesting to see how Powell plays it. And also, what he says can always move the markets and cause volatility. And I think, in fact, that this meeting is going to be quite dramatic, actually. May 7th, right around the time of Powell's press conference, give or take an hour or two. We see that the moon is in a tough position. It's in a very financial astrology, low confidence position in Virgo, conjunct the South Node, which often is associated with losses. And it's also going to be opposing Saturn and Neptune later that day and into the after midnight. So this is a very tough setup, and I think it is going to shake up the market, this relief rally a little bit. And we also see some confluence and confirmation on that, specifically for Bitcoin. Now, that's in my May subscriber forecast update. If you want to get that Bitcoin specific information, you can check out my Patreon subscriptions. And I'm going to put that in, I'm going to drop that in the video description so you can check out my subscription forecast. So that's one thing I want to look at. The next thing that I want to look at is going in. So that's on May 7th. And I think that is going to shake up the markets going for, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 days, but especially going into the May 12th full moon, which is also an interesting event for May. So the full moon is going to take place at 22 Scorpio. The moon is in fallen Scorpio, and it's a kind of emotionally quite dramatic. 22 Scorpio, and as we can see, it's opposing the Sun Uranus conjunction here. So Scorpio has a flair for drama, and the emotions tend to be quite intense around Scorpio full moons, and they can bring dramatic, sort of transformational events, right? Scorpio is all about change and transformation. In financial astrology, Taurus, the bull, is the wealth sign. It's a sign of gains and wealth. Scorpio is actually associated with loss. So again, I think that this Fed meeting kind of shakes things up going all the way into Monday the 12th on this full moon. We've also seen time and time again that Bitcoin will often bottom around full moons. So this is another thing we could be looking at. This would be a dip I think that we want to buy. Now, after that, after this sort of, opposing Uranus, Uranus is the planet that's chaotic and unpredictable. And so when that's, sort of in the alignment of the full moon, you can get some very dramatic, unpredictable, chaotic events, surprises. This is a surprise full moon with a lot of emotional drama. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But let's look ahead. Now, one of the interesting things that I like about May is that we have a nice fire trine developing throughout the month between Venus and Aries and Mars and Leo. You can see on the 12th there, from 8 to 11, about 3 degrees out. Now that's going to tighten up considerably over the following week. And you can see once, if we skip a week ahead to the 19th, and I think they go perfect on the 20th. So right here, or let's see, maybe it would be the 21st. Yeah, so basically the 20th, 21st, 22nd, Venus and Mars are going to be in a passionate romance with each other. A passionate fire trine, and I think this is just, after some of the disruptive and chaotic crisis events of the last 2 months, this is kind of the main aspect of May, is this long trine between Venus and Mars. And so that has a nice feeling to it. This is an excellent, this is an excellent month to go out on some dates, maybe strike up a new relationship or a new romance. This is a very good aspect for that. This is kind of the perfect harmony between the feminine and the masculine, the perfect harmony between the yin and the yang planets. The love goddess, Venus, and the sort of like the god of passion and courage and war, Mars, are in this perfect harmonious alignment. It's a very sexy alignment. Yeah, this is a good time to go out and try your luck. If you are single. If you're married, this is a good time also for romance as well. Take your wife out, take your husband out, take your girlfriend out on a hot date, and and yeah, buy her some flowers, buy her some roses, take her out on a romantic dinner, take her out dancing. This is the kind of aspect that's good for that. I think this is also pretty good for the financial markets because, of course, Venus also rules money and wealth, and it's in that nice fire trine to Mars. I think this is good overall for market confidence. Once we get past that, the Fed meeting on May 7th, that shakes things up, maybe going into the full moon on the 12th. That period I see as being, having some drama and volatility, but overall, I like the markets going into this Venus Mars trine. Okay. However, of course, there's a big shift kind of towards the end of the month as we get to May 24th, May 25th or so. You can see now that Saturn goes into 0 degrees Aries. Uh, and that is a big sign shift. That had Saturn hasn't changed signs since March of 2023, where we saw that big banking crisis there. Uh, and so anytime that Saturn changes signs, it's a big energy shift, and it can be a crisis point. That 0 Aries tends to have an amplifying effect there. And as you can see, this is sort of now the official start of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. I mean, sure, they've been close. They were close in Pisces, but now they're within 1.5 degrees or so, and they're in the sign of Aries, where they're going to meet, where they're going to come very close in June and July, and then they're going to come very close again. They're going to come exact in February 2026. So this is leading into the Saturn-Neptune conjunction series, which is the major aspect series of the next of 2025 and early 2026. So we could see some more sort of historical crisis, tumultuous events going into June and July as Saturn makes that 35-year conjunction cycle to Neptune. We've talked about this in some of the previous videos, where the previous one was 1988, 1989, and that was synonymous with the fall of the Berlin Wall. That was synonymous with the reunification of Germany, the beginning of the end of the Cold War, and the sort of breakdown of the Soviet Union. So massively historical events. Now this one is quite dramatic again because it's between 0, 1, 2 Aries, a part of the zodiac that's the very beginning of the zodiac, and so it has that, it's the fresh new start, it's a reset, and so this is the beginning of a historical new era. as both Saturn and Neptune simultaneously ingress into Aries and also form that conjunction with each other. And we'll continue to do updates on this. But the key event for May is around May 24th, 25th, when Saturn goes into zero Aries. We should expect to see some more dramatic events start to build as we go into June and July. And that would be, we could see some more market turmoil at that time as well. So I hope that gives you some interesting information and things to think about for the month of May. And thanks again for tuning in and liking and subscribing my videos. And please subscribe to my Patreon if you're more interested in really in-depth, detailed, highly detailed financial astrology reports. I just put out the May forecast for my $25 level subscribers. So if you haven't already checked that out, please check it out. And you can see some really interesting stuff. We go into detail about the Saturn-Neptune conjunctions, and I go really into detail for a very a very interesting swing trade setup for Bitcoin in May based on some of these signals. All right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, everybody.